Hello, internet friends, and welcome to episode number 130 of FinalBossTV, your WoW and game rating show. Normally, of course, but today is a community spotlight episode. I am your host. My name is Adam K, aka Bay, and today I am sitting down with two very talented nerds to go over the Lost Codex, which is a YouTube channel that you may or may not have heard about. Hopefully today I will help spread the love across the internet and you guys will find something else to enjoy and partake in your binge watching, which is what the internet's for, right? Cat pictures, food pictures, and binge watching. That's about all I can think of. That is what it's for. But before that, of course, I need to shout out over here on the FinalBossTV Patreon. Thank you so much to the growing support on Patreon. There is going to be some more changes on the horizon in the future. First and foremost, however, I want to make sure that you are alerted to the fact that there are additional podcasts on the Patreon channel. These are the behind-the-scenes podcasts. Not every episode gets these. There is one, however, going up for this episode later on this week. There will be Jesse and I sat down to prep the show yesterday. This is about a half an hour of us just being dorks and talking about the show and setting things up and talking about the Lost Codex. So if you want more show, if you want more podcast, it is available to patrons. Details, of course, on the site. And, of course, a big shout-out to Troffles, Ludovicus, and Taislin, and now R4, or Raxus, he's R4 around these parts, for your assistant producer support. Thank you so much. But the guests on the show today, it's guest time. Introductions are in order. First up, Jesse, hello, welcome to the show, sir. Hello, you seem to be a spinning globe of sorts. What is, hello?
Hello. Yeah, I don't have a webcam, so I will not be here in person, so I'll be here in globe form.
I mean, you're only known for your voice, though, right? So, I mean, who needs to see your...
I don't actually have a body. I'm just a floating entity.
Well, I could put a floating picture of your face right now. Oh, there you are. Oh gosh. God. Oh gosh, it's happening.
No.
Chat, he's floating by. Well, I have to show this off. So, because the Pirate Beard comments need to...
Are you gonna make Pirate Beard trending now? Oh God.
You're known for the voice and the Pirate Beard. That's correct, right?
To you and only you. You are my biggest Pirate Beard fan.
Yeah.
The only Pirate Beard fan.
No, absolutely. But Jesse, the writer, director, and the voice of the Lost Codex, thank you very much for your time. If you want more of this face, then you can check out day 2 of my base take from BlizzCon this year, because I did interview these guys again. That was the first foray. Today's the real deal, Jesse. Are you ready?
No, but yes.
Okay. And then over there we also have Jeffrey, the real brains behind the operation. Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Are you ready to talk about how you do all the work and Jesse just gets famous for it?
Oh, absolutely.
That's how it works.
That's how it works. But this is the editor, producer, and artist. We were working on the show notes behind when we were setting this up, and Jesse just said that put art guy under Jeff and voice guy under his, but I put a little more than that, so I think that's totally fine. But that is what these guys do, and we're gonna go through introductions and stuff now. So I guess I'll just go back over to Jesse first. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell the internet a little about you and what you do, and don't answer the Lost Codex question yet. But who the heck are you, sir?
Who am I?
Yeah, who are you?
I've been working with Machinima on Machinima for the last, I want to say, 7 years. It'll be 7 years this BlizzCon. I'm writing and directing Machinima, and voicing. I do some voice work in some of the past Machinima, but this Lost Codex is the first time that I've really done majority of the voice work. So yeah, I've just been writing and directing Machinima for the last 7 years, or 6 and a bit. That's who I am.
So over half a decade.
Yes. Holy crap! When you put it in that perspective, yeah. My My actually the very first thing that I ever wrote for Machinima was Boom Diata Wow back in the day, in the Rise to Power contest, I believe in 2009.
I remember this.
Late 2009 actually. So I guess it's longer than 6 years, and that's kind of what set me on the track. I wrote the parody to the Discovery Channel commercial Boom Diata. I wrote a WoW parody, and I sent it to Irdine, the machinima artist. Said, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And next thing I knew, Jesse Cox was on board, Oxhorn was on board, Matt Greenberg was on board, and it won a special mentions in that contest, which was kind of cool. That was kind of my first introduction to machinima, and then after that, I kind of dove right in.
That's awesome. What about you, Jeff?
Well,
who
are
Jeffrey,
you?
Hi.
I've been making machinima for since when? I think like 2008, 2009-ish. I started way back in the day when The Sims 2 was a thing.
Oh
you could you could like record things, and suddenly there were like people posting videos, and I'm like, what? That's kind of cool. I guess I could do that too. So I grabbed my my Windows Movie Maker and my Sims 2 game, and I was off. And then finally, I just found the WoW model viewer basically for World of Warcraft, and started doing quite the same.
Gosh, so you guys have that's somewhere in the ballpark of about. And that's 15, 16 years between the two of you, almost, between just building machinima together as a team. I mean, once you collaborate it all and smoosh it all together. So that's wild. But I guess the next question I had was, how did you both start working together? How did your Sims into WoW model viewer transition into meeting and getting together with, how did the two of you get started, I guess? How did that memory lane trip happen? I don't know who wants to start with the memory lane trip, though. Jesse, you want to indulge us?
All right. I'll indulge. Let's go back to BlizzCon 2010.
Oh,
the movie contest.
That was a good one.
That was so Jeff actually's video won grand prize with Rocket of Love.
Yep.
And my video, I worked with several other people. Was I Am Forsaken, and it came second place. And that was my first introduction to kind of BlizzCon movie making, and I thought it was cool to come second place, and the looking at the grand prize guy, and that was really cool. There was a lot of custom animations that Jeff did in his that we didn't have in ours. And then following year, our team for I Am Forsaken kind of drifted apart. Some of us drifted apart, some of us didn't, and we were in need of a new animator, so I kind of put the call to arms out there through Irdine, the guy who did Boom Diata, and I got an email from this Jeff guy that said, "Hey, I'll work with you." And I said, "This is the guy who kicked our ass last year. Let's hop on board that train." And honestly, ever since it's just been a team ever since. Jeff and I and another fellow by the name of Walid worked together. He's taken off professionally. He's a music composer, artist. He's one of those guys who just excels at everything. He's one of those European guys who just was born with every gift on the planet. So Jeff, Walid, and I.
Yeah, wasn't Walid's music like used in a trailer for the Warcraft movie, for example?
Yeah, his music was used in the Warcraft Legendary Pictures.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like he hit it big. So we teamed up for a couple years. We actually placed in 2011 BlizzCon, Outbreak Loaderon, and then Jeff and I, Walid kind of focused on his own stuff a couple years later, and Jeff and I continued to make machinima, and yeah, we actually started off as he beat us back in 2010, and then he said he wanted to work with us, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it's funny actually because I won like the grand prize in 2010. In 2011 I was like, I don't really need to enter because I already won the big thing, and then of course this little thing like, oh wait, I can actually work together with people. That's something I've never tried before. Let's try it out, and well, we've been working together ever since.
That's wild. I know how the chat, of course, is jumping on the whole Jesse Cox thing with him working with him. You guys haven't done anything with him since though, or has that still been like a possibility to go and like do collaborations that are outside of you, or are you guys just too far right now? You're focused on just what building the brand and building the Lost Codex and staying together with that and not trying to, I guess, overreach and bite off more than you can chew?
So we used to kind of only make 1 to 2 videos a year for contests and stuff like that. And we kind of worked together on most of the contests in between. We actually, there was a couple years in a row we worked with the same people over and over. We had a awesome cast of amazing voice actors. Jesse Cox has been in most of our stuff together. Yeah, Matt Greenberg is an awesome voice actor as well. We had voice actress by the name of Rarbug. We had Diva Gregory actually star in a couple of our videos before. So we've collaborated with quite a few people over the years. But it ultimately that's kind of shifted since the Lost Codex kind of appeared. So our machinima kind of stopped in favor of something bigger.
Yeah, we still work regular day jobs as well, so there's only so many hours in a day.
Exactly.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir when it comes to like everyone in my little circle. Like, can we get 2 shows a week? Can you stream more? Why don't you do? I'm like, there's only so much that I can actually work on all the time. So, oh yeah, is that an actual picture frame? It looks like Scrooge McDuck. It is. Absolutely, it is. Yep, that's a chat picture, and right next to Deathwing, of course. Yep.
Yes, that is in fact Scrooge McDuck on my wall.
So how long?
Not even apologizing.
No, you shouldn't. There's nothing wrong with that. So how long have you been playing World of Warcraft then? Because obviously the Lost Codex is very focused around World of Warcraft lore. So Jeffrey, how long have you been playing WoW, and what do you play in World of Warcraft? That's what chat's gonna screw you over right now. Okay, so Hoarder Alliance, what do you play?
Let's see. I think I started playing not at launch because, well, back then the computer I had was like terrible. If you jump into the canals in Stormwind, you would like jump into a brightly colored block. And so by the time I got an actual good computer for my 16th birthday, I think, 10 or 11 years I've been playing World of Warcraft now, and I've basically been playing the most my mage. That's just been my main for all that time.
And what race is your mage? Just to make sure everyone knows.
It's a gnome.
Hell yeah! That's
again, not apologizing.
Hell no. Shouldn't know what's wrong with that.
You basically back in that day you had like 2 choices, either a human or a gnome, and humans are bland as fuck. So
yeah, I'll allow it. That's fine. Yeah, we got some known rabble rousing in chat now. What about you, Jesse? How long have you been playing WoW, and what do you partake in the game? What do you play?
I've been playing since January 2005. Started just after Christmas, and my first character ever was a dwarf hunter, and I didn't get very far on him, so I made my gnome warlock. So I too play a gnome, but I actually play a couple classes. I play warlock, paladin, and hunter. I actually play both horde and alliance, but my oldest character since January 2005 is also a gnome, but I have played horde back and forth as well. So
fair
warlock
enough.
Warlock I would say is my main. Paladin would be my second main.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, my original character was a male night elf, purple-haired druid, because I was much younger at the time, didn't realize what I was doing. And then I was Draenei shaman, then now I'm a panda. Been a Pandaren shaman since Pandaria. So, but I do have a gnome now. I have my little gnome survival hunter, and she's awesome. So
gnome hunters are the flavor of the month, and they're the best flavor of the month.
Definitely.
It's the mechanical pets baseline. They should be mounts though.
That's just awesome. And plus, the gnome hunter that's in High Mountain, she's awesome too.
Yep. Oh,
Patty.
Are you talking about Diva? Yeah.
No.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, that's true. So I guess now the big question is, and why we're here to talk about stuff today, and we'll get into way more of this as we go through. We've got a whole bunch of behind the scenes stuff to look at. We've got some process, like how these shots are built, that how Jeff weaves his magic or his voodoo or whatever. for the Lost Codex and the Hollow Core as well. And we also have, after the mid-show break here, if you are waiting for it and wondering what's their next video going to be, I mean, we'll talk more about that, of course, but we actually have a sneak preview of the next Lost Codex video that's going to be going online soon, so stay tuned for that. But the whole point, Jesse, what is the Lost Codex?
The Lost Codex, like the channel, or like where it came from, like the idea?
Both.
Both.
Also,
okay,
yes.
Yes, we'll do both. Okay. So the Lost, we'll start where it came from. Kind of goes off to what you're saying earlier about working on other projects and how I said we only work during competition time. And I was just racking my brain on what we could do that was actually that was consistent, what we could do that we could put out content for.
Right.
And there's a time where Jeff and I were working on some script ideas for like animated shorts. I wouldn't say like Lords of War style, but they were going to be lore based, and it was going to be very much like not in a narrative documentary style, but more of an actual storytelling, like an actual story through machinima. And that didn't actually work out, but that kind of blossomed the idea for the Lost Codex. And it started, I was reading Twitter one night, and I came across Samwise, one of the artists at Blizzard, artist at Blizzard. And his one of his mottos is ABC, always be creating. And I kind of read that, and it really, I've always read it before, but when I read it that time, I was kind of beating myself over what we could do with it. Just like, I couldn't come up with this idea, and I was kind of beating myself up over it. And then I saw ABC, and I thought, it kind of stuck with me. I fell asleep, woke up the next morning, and the idea for a narrative, just like a documentary style lore channel came up with the added with visuals, something that wasn't done before, because I knew Jeff knows what he's doing. Jeff has always excelled at that part, so I thought, what if we combined those two, my love and knowledge of lore and writing, and his awesome artistic capabilities, and that's where I shot him the idea. He's like, all right, let's go from there. Let's talk about it. And kind of 2 months later, bam, first video was out.
You guys haven't even, I can bring up the YouTube channel right now because we had brought this up when we were prepping. And this has come up before in passing with your comments and whatnot, and you were saying that some of your earliest comments, because your first video is only 10 months old now, which is the Black Empire into the Black Empire, parts like 1, 2, and 3. But I think if I quote you correctly on this, is you have some comments that were like, where the hell did you guys come from?
Yeah. So that's when we started, we didn't really have like a set style on what to do. So it was I said, when we were kind of talking over the slides, the one thing that's challenging about doing machinima is it's so time consuming to do those big scenes. Like when we did Road to War. Road to War is one of my favorite projects we worked on, but holy hell, that was a lot of, like, the amount of visuals. There's one scene where Jeff has like the building of scene, and it's just a lot of visuals in there. So I thought, if we're going to do a channel based on this, we have to make it simple. We have to make it, but still engaging. And so we kind of went with the slideshow idea, but then Jeff, added his magical artistic flair to it. And then people were commenting like, I got emails like, where did you guys come from? Out of nowhere, suddenly first video is this video where usually there's like a buildup of talent, but because Jeff and I have been working together for 5 years, we already knew how to bounce off each other. We already knew how to work. So when the first video came out, people were like, hi, who are you?
But yeah. I guess that is definitely a thing. I mean, yeah, that was the first part of the next one, is that who had the idea to build these highly polished videos. And it looks like it sounded like it was definitely a collaboratory effort and a little bit of trial and error at the beginning, but you didn't really have very many steps to get to where you are now. I think there's been refinement, but there was never like a let's test this style and then this style and then that style. You basically just had sort of one goal from the get-go.
Yeah, we started with the storybook kind of idea, like pages, and then the pages would like fill themselves in with, for example, like the old gods and their minions, and little tidbits of information about them. And after that, when we started working on the holocore idea, it was like, okay, well, that's the storybook idea is nice, maybe for like the broader story. But if we would like to focus on smaller subjects, like, for example, we've worked on a lot of videos about the artifact weapons for Legion, and we sort of like rolled into the holocore for those. But yeah, the visual style was like kind of a bit of trial and error at the start, but by the time we went live with the first video, we had already pretty much nailed it and just went on refining ever since.
And that's the next, like, the other follow-up question too, is because the Lost Codex, and you know, why we're here and the name of the show and the spotlight and whatever and the channel, that's the whole overarching goal. And as Jeff just said, the Lost Codex is sort of more of like the bigger, broader topics, because you have a sort of a splinter video, or I guess series, or like focus called the Holocore, which, like, what is the difference between the two videos itself? Like, what is the Holocore and what did it come to be?
So the Lost Codex, even though the channel is called the Lost Codex, when Jeff and I are talking and discussing what kind of video format we're going to do, we discuss it as Codex format or Holocore format.
Oh, okay. And
the Codex format was the original, as Jeff said, the storybook telling. It's kind of the fantasy that Jeff's kind of woven into the channel is this in Azeroth kind of teaching. So like this is some corner of a library or a sanctum in Dalaran or something like that, and there's this tomb, the tome of knowledge called the Lost Codex, and it just has it has everything in it, every piece of information. Now this is not canon, this is not anything like actually canonically in lore, but the idea was that there was not yet. There was this giant book of history, and then there was this guy, this narrator, who was just talking about it, and then there was the pages would fill themselves in, and special effects would come up. Because it's a magical book, you don't need to explain it because magic is the answer. And then we were talking about how could we show weapons with that, and Jeff suggested something like a slideshow, but I think briefly we discussed having like a camera spotlights, like just like a camera lens go like on a wall, and as if there was like a gnome behind the scenes with like an old-fashioned kind of a projector. I think that was discussed briefly, but then we came up with this idea. The Holocore is this Titan device, this device you would find in Ulduar or Uldum or something like that, that has files and systems, and I've always liked that part of the Titan lore and Ulduar lore, is it's very technological but also very ancient.
Right. Basically, like ancient computers.
And basically, it would be an ancient computer with the projector idea, and Jeff came up with the idea, what if the actual projector was the globe from the intro? And we didn't really have a name for it for the Holocore until the night before the episode went live. We were like less than 24 hours away from our very first Holocore episode, and we didn't have a name. And I sat in the car with two of my buddies, I think for 5 hours we just shot out names, and then finally we decided on Holocore. And Jeff's like, "That sounds good, we're doing it," and we just locked in, and the rest is history.
I'm gonna bring up the Lost Codex building block on the screen right now, just to show the stages it goes through. Just because this is the foundation of like the layers and the logo itself and its building. This one doesn't have as many slices as some of the other ones I'm going to show in a moment here, but yeah, this is. Can I give a little backstory on that? Yeah,
actually?
Absolutely, go for it.
So actually, our channel went live in April of last year. So last end of February is when we started talking about this. And I went on vacation in March. I went to Orlando with two of my friends. And I remember I got to the hotel, and Jeff and I talked about an animated intro. And I said that the animated intro is key. If we're going to have this professional look, we need to make it look good. We did not discuss at all what the animated intro was going to be. So I got to the hotel, connect to the Wi-Fi, and Jeff's like, "Here, how's this?" And he sends me pretty much this. There was like out of nowhere. And I said, "Where did this come from?" And he's like, "I don't know. I just put it together." And I said, "This is it. We're done. This is our intro." We tweaked a little bit. We tweaked the background a little bit, but there was no like, "Oh, let's discussion." This was all 100% Jeff's intro, and it just came out of nowhere. I watched it like 6 times, and then I showed it to my friends, and they're like, "Oh, I thought you said you didn't have an intro." I'm like, 2 hours ago we didn't, and now we do. So yeah, that kind of I appeared in Florida, and there was an intro, and we settled on. We tweaked, I think, 1 or 2 things, but otherwise,
something like I think the fonts went through like 2 or 3 choices until we ended up with this one.
Oh, okay.
But they're like the general, like the colors of the letters and the O using the globe. That was like in it from the start.
Yeah, that was what blew me away, was this like hologram style, and that's kind of what I think started the holocore idea, was with the holographic ideas, or little image that he used. So that intro that you see is, and I think we also tweaked the background slightly. We the desk wasn't the same, but otherwise the whole concept of it was all him.
No, it's pretty wild. As my viewers and chat would know and stuff like that I've been an editor for a very long time. I do like, I would say more like formal editing. Like I'm a videographer essentially, where I would record like scenes or B-roll or interviews with doctors and part like that, because I work for Florida Hospital now for almost 4 years, until very recently, where now I'm fortunate enough that FinalBossTV and sitting here and making things and doing shows and streaming and stuff like that now is my main focus. But so I've been an editor for a very long time, went to film school for it. I've edited film or digital, and there is a lot of things that I know how to do. I know how to work cameras, and I know how to, in splice, all this kind of stuff like that before, and After Effects, and in Photoshop, and Final Cut, and Premiere. But there's been a thing that I've never learned. I'm not graphically, like, gifted. I can't make graphics or understand or build those parts of this stuff. So when I first saw the channel and just the way that everything, I'm gonna switch over here to the B-roll and just play part of the Suramar video, which is the next something we're gonna talk about, so I might as well bring that up, is the amount of, let's just rewind this here real quick, the amount of effects, and because I understand like how many layers must be in these projects, or how many pieces of the puzzle go together with this. I don't know how to do it, but when I watch these, or when I watch other really high-produced YouTube videos from other YouTubers, I'm like, wow, that really is impressive, because there's so many parts of that whole. And then when I found out that that Jeff basically does everything himself,
which is technically why some videos take a bit longer to get done compared to other channels. But yeah, that's the price you pay.
Because you're splicing different effect layers into like official Blizzard art, into your own foreground layers, your own transitional elements, your own model viewer pieces, your own After Effects work for all the effects and particles and lighting changes. And there's so many little bits, and I'm going to save all of that behind the scenes stuff for the next segment, but it is a really baffling part of this whole thing, that there's that much that goes into it. I mean, you do all of this. And is it all just because what sort of background do either of you have in doing these things, right? Voiceover writing, machinima, visual edits like that. And Jeff, like, before you started working in the machinima stuff, do you have anything that led you into that? Because you said you started with like The Sims, or has it all just been self-taught over the years and just learning? And
it's basically all been taught over the years, self-taught. I did go to college, and I think you call it college in America.
Yeah, university. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And studied media technology, but that was like more on the technical side of things. We did have a broadcast technology segment, and we did shoot videos for that, but we never, like, the one lesson we were supposed to get on like actual editing just never really happened. So yeah, pretty much self-taught over the how many years I've been doing this.
And Jesse, what about you? Like, what did you have anything?
And lots of tutorials and
that's very true. I mean, you can learn a lot of this stuff, but there's definitely a drive to absorb all of this, because unless you you get like an internship and you go to work and you basically, a lot of people, fake it till you make it. They learn on the job, they learn over years, but you've only been, you've got less time into that and you've made so much already and it can only improve from here. You have just a foundation to go from. It's pretty, it's as the new word that chat brings up now, it's very rad, but, no, it's awesome. I mean, Jesse, what about, did you have anything before this that where you were doing, writing or voiceovering? And in a way, it's sort of acting in itself because you're the character that you've curated for your voiceovers is not the same as you. It's not like you're just talking into your microphone.
No. So writing's always been like my biggest passion. So I've been writing for a long time. And that's when I actually wrote the Boom Diata script. I was in one of my university classes. I wrote it just because I was on this like parody kick and I just wrote it as a joke. But I've always been writing short stories and creative stories and stuff like that. So, and that's why I got into machinima, because I kind of got to create my own movies. And the experience with writing was always there. Directing came from the screen directions and stuff like that with all of the machinimas. And actually voice acting kind of came, the very first time I voice acted, I just wanted, just for like flavor's sake, just say that I did it. Mm-hmm. But I never, I have stage fright in like real life. So I can't talk in front of big crowds. So I wasn't trying to do it. And one of the guys we're working with, he's actually in chat right here, Matt Greenberg. He kind of coached me along through my early days of voice acting, and every video I did was kind of a testing the waters kind of. And him and I had private chat sessions in Skype about just all sorts of different points and unofficial lessons on voice acting. So I don't have any official background like Jeff does, but it's just writing's been the main focus, and directing's kind of coming with that as well.
Right.
And voice acting, I guess, is something I've always wanted to do, but I kind of admitted to myself that I can't because I'm just not good in crowds. Like, you just watch your video from BlizzCon. I'm awkward as hell.
Hey, we're all pretty awkward. I mean,
we are.
It's funny when you bring up broadcasters and YouTubers and stuff like that. A lot of us, me included, are very introverted, which people don't understand. They're like, but you're broadcasting to hundreds of people and making these videos. But I'm like in my room in my pajamas. Or not wearing pants. You don't know. You can't tell, right? You have no idea. So there's a comfort level that we have in our own little bubble, exactly. Our own little sphere. And then when we make these things, it's our way of, opening up and getting out there. But it's in a controlled space that we can control. So yeah, when I go to these events and when I go to BlizzCon multiple years in a row now, and when I record and make these base takes and, bump into my friends and interview people in these little micro interview sessions like I did with you guys, it's very much, 1v1, it's just that one little session, or there's, 2 of you or 3 people or myself. And we try to get away from all the hubbub, because there is a lot of just, in not a derogatory sense, lots of noise that's happening around. And sometimes it's so many people that it does, after 2 days of BlizzCon, I'm like, oh, I'm done for the year. I'm good.
Yeah.
So
I think we all know the feeling.
Yeah, I get the same. It's weird though, because when I'm in large crowds, when I'm at BlizzCon, I'm having such a blast, and I'm talking to everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's weird if someone was to pull me on stage, I'd pass out or something stupid. I'd walk away. I can't. So when I see people get up on stage, or someone go to ask, or when someone asks a question at the Q&As at BlizzCon and they kind of get laughed at later, I'm kind of like, do you know how nerve-wracking that is to see your face up on screen and to hear your voice echoing? That takes some guts to do that. So I wish and I guess in time it'll come, but no, I totally get that.
I do. I mean, I'm going to bring up, let's go back over to the B-roll stuff real quick here and transition over to I want to talk about the Suramar story, and I'm going to give a little bit of an intro here at the beginning and actually play the voice that you've created here real quick. So this will be if you haven't heard like how a intro to video works and how Jesse becomes this character for the Lost Codex, then here is Jesse in his I guess new natural habitat that they've created. So here's me unmute this and I'll hit play.
Welcome, heroes, to the sanctum of the Lost Codex. Archmage Khadgar has told us on the recent push on Suramar City, and that the time to assault the Nighthold has finally come. Before you charge into Elison's fortress and lay siege to the palace, it would be best if you had an understanding of the city and its history, as well as the sorts of people you are bound to face. Come, gather around and listen, as we take a journey 10,000 years into the past.
That's all I'm giving, chat. Once the Suramar on the Nighthold pops up, that's it. You can go watch the rest of the video on the YouTube channel, but it's... I want to go to the... We're in the BTS section now. I want to talk about like how this stuff is built and created, and spotlighting, of course, the Suramar story and the Nighthold, because this just is your... This became the largest thing you've done so far, and in such a young channel. This was on the BNet Launcher Spotlight, the story of Suramar. It also was put on the WoW official Twitter to get it, out there as well. They spotlight people. They spotlight Fabelina and all those artists like that too. But I guess they're sort of this. I don't know if it's a Romeo and Juliet story or like the right place, right time, or just obviously it's the amount of work and effort and craftsmanship you've put into these pieces. But this is blown up in a regard. This video it's huge for you guys. So you want to like walk me through like how that all happened and how the spotlight has changed, how things look on the channel, what kind of feedback you've gotten from this video, and what you go for it.
I must say that the Suramar episode is probably our favorite episode, but it's the episode that obviously, as you can tell from the length of it, it's the episode that took the most time.
Sure.
We knew about that back in November. That we wanted to do a Suramar episode. We didn't know officially about any sort of features, anything like that, right away. But we did work. One of the community managers for the Warcraft team, Jay, he was in touch with us, and he kind of is responsible for getting us on that, on the BattleNet launcher, which was really awesome. We were kind of excited at the idea of it, and then when it kind of happened, it was a dream come true, kind of. So we knew it was happening when we got to the stages where we were sending them the video privately, and they were looking at the script and stuff like that. It's kind of cool to have Blizzard like fact check your script. It was actually kind of cool. The one of the historians, Sean Copeland, I believe it was Sean Copeland, he kind of got to fact check the script, and so that was kind of, from my perspective as a lore nut, it was kind of cool to have one of the official Blizzard historians kind of go over the script and everything like that. So that we knew it was going to be a bigger episode. We knew it was going to be a longer episode, which is why we kind of had after Christmas, our Christmas special. There wasn't much going on our channel. We were quiet for a couple weeks because we were focusing so much on making this perfect, because we knew at that point there was a significant possibility of a BattleNet feature.
I was just playing the first like 2 minutes without any audio in the background while you were describing that. And again, you guys gotta go check out the whole video on their channel. Of course, they've been linked in the video description below, all that kind of stuff like that too. But there is how long did it take to build that then? You said you were quiet for a few weeks, but like how many hours do you think you and Jeff put into this? And as Jeff's like,
Oh yeah.
So from my end, that was from my end, significantly less than Jeff. Obviously, my end, I had to go back because I was using both Chronicle lore and in-game lore. I think usually average episode is 2 to 3 scripts. This one went through about 5 to 6 rewrites.
Wow.
And there's a lot of people comment on the video, why did you leave this out? Why do you leave that out? And we had to cut some stuff out, otherwise Jeff would still be working right now.
Still be working on, yeah.
So I think that week I put in, for like a week and a half, for 2 weeks straight, I put in easily over, between the research and the screen directions, and a lot of it was just prepping, because it kind of starts with the script, and then I kind of just shove everything at Jeff with the screen directions. I try to help where I can, but he's the visual master, so my help would actually just slow things down. But I think from the script perspective, I did about 80 hours of script work, and that's script alone. That's not Jeff's visuals, and I think Jeff easily trumped that. I'll let him chime in here.
Yeah, I can't quite remember, but yeah, I think we were like working on it for like 2 or 3 weeks, and more bordering on the 3 weeks. And yeah, it was basically like mostly every evening, 3 or 4 hours at the very least, and then in the weekends, of course, longer. So yeah, definitely easily 80 hours as well. Yeah.
He's being modest. I'd say a lot more than that, because I did 80s with the script work. So and Jeff would stay up till the wee. It's kind of difficult because I don't know. Someone asked in chat where Jeff's from, and I wrote the Netherlands. I'm from Canada, so we kind of have a significant gap in our time zones.
Right.
Yeah, it's like 6 hours or something.
6-7 hours, something like that. And so I'm talking to Jeff when it's just evening time for me, and it's like 2:00 in the morning for him. And then when he wakes up, it's like 4 a.m. for me, and I'm still awake doing stuff. So it doesn't exactly. I think we both butchered our sleep schedule.
We're not exactly being healthy right now.
No. And we actually both got sick after the Suramar video. We both actually got pretty fucking sick. Pardon my language there. So I think, not to blame Suramar, but we're blaming Suramar.
Not to blame Suramar, but you both got in real life night whale poisoning. All right.
That's it.
fair.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. It just osmosed through the script and all the visuals because you were having to look at it for so long. I mean, there is something that definitely goes, I think, unknown or misunderstood or just not really communicated well, which is why I bring this up, of course, too, whenever I do these community spotlights, is that, you know, a broadcaster can broadcast for 8 hours, 10 hours, 16 hours a day or whatever, right? And people sometimes don't understand. I mean, more in my circle in the corner of the internet, they understand this, that it's very, very draining, and it takes a lot out of you to like be not only trying to be entertaining and awake and like paying attention to chat and playing the game at a certain level and doing whatever you're trying to do, but then when you're trying to make something packaged, when you're trying to put together something that just takes the collaborative efforts of many different facets to put this whole story together in a way, it's a totally different beast. I mean, my only foray into that to a finished degree, obviously a lot of stuff has happened with the more recent program that I've been trying to work on with War Crimes, but on my own is done. And that's my first foray into machinima because I wanted to make it so that the character would actually sing. And these are the old models, so my modeler at the time had to try to rebone the face of a female human that only had a bone on the top of the mouth, bottom, and then the right and the left sides. There were 4 bones in her whole mouth. So how do you make a character with no like real features, no real modeling at the time, sing? So that was a huge just hurdle to overcome and build that, and then scripting, and then recording, and then going through different artists and things. So I feel that side of it. But that was once. I made that video once. You guys put together these huge videos multiple times a month, and on a hope to build schedule, but of course the bigger the video, the longer it takes. So people understand that, but there's a lot of time that goes into these, and I guess how do you pick the topics for these videos? Like, do you have like a goal list? Do you have like these certain topics and videos you want to hit, or do you kind of just go, do you fire from the hip, or how do you guys decide and build those, the project? How do you pick which one you want to do? I guess, Jesse, how do you guys do that?
We just, honestly, there was a couple times that I've asked Jeff, anything you want to do in particular, and he's a go guy. He's just like let's do whatever. So I'm kind of like, what about this? He's like, sure. So it's actually really easy to kind of pick topics, and we both agreed that we should try to keep things relevant when it's appropriate. So like when trials, we were actually working on an artifact episode, and I said to Jeff that Trial of Valor is coming out in a few weeks. This was back in October, and so we both agreed to stop production on that and jump to our Odin episode.
Oh.
No, that was after BlizzCon. It was after BlizzCon because Trial of Valor had just come out. So we agree if there's something coming up. So with Suramar, we purposefully had Suramar done a week after Suramar came out. That was done on purpose. But aside from that, it's just at this point we're just checking off the remaining artifact weapons. Once those are done, it's a, do we focus on Chronicle? We have a couple open stories. So like the next Holocore episode that's coming out this week is the Ashbringer. And then the next big episode that's coming out is the Odin's episode part 2, where we had that feature in December from Blizzard. So we're going to be continuing the Halls of Valor. We just we want to wrap up current storylines. We got the Odin story, we got the War of the Ancients going on, and then all of the artifacts. And at that point, we're just going to kind of open Chronicle. We're going to look at the game, where we're going. We both want to talk about Argus, because that's going to be huge in the next coming months. So
a little bit.
Yeah, just a tiny portion of the game coming up.
It's just a completely different planet, but yeah, we'll
no
be
big
fine.
deal. No big deal.
No, not at all.
And then I guess you sort of touched on it there for a moment, but I guess that the inside job and what I wonder about and what I was kind of just gushing about before the question was that there are so many different resources you guys get information from the poll from World of Warcraft. It's a gigantic franchise, game, history, backstory, the lore of the game goes on and on and on and on and on. And we're lucky that the Chronicle exists, with the second volume of the Chronicle coming out very soon, if not being shipped like now, like the 14th of March, I think people start getting there. So like the next couple of weeks. But how do you sift through all of that information? Including there's like Wowpedia, WoWWiki, in-game stuff. Like what's your checklist of how you make sure you're getting all the right information? What do you cross-reference? Like what's the spider web to pull it all together? How do you guys do that?
So that kind of falls with the script writing. When I'm doing that, if it's relevant, I go in game and look, because there's obviously the discrepancy between game lore and book lore and Chronicle being updated and stuff like that. So I do use WoW Gamepedia and game lore. Chronicle is pretty much always within arm's reach of me, just in case I need to reference something on that. But there's a lot, especially with Suramar and Odin, there was a lot of actually no, more so for the War of the Ancients episode, we did a lot of cross-referencing that I had to do to make sure that I wasn't saying something that was once true and now not true, or was decanonized in Legion or recanonized or something. So there's actually a lot of cross-referencing between multiple subjects. And actually, the most recent case would be we were working on the Ashbringer episode, and there was a bit of lore that I was confused about, and Jeff said that he had the Ashbringer comic from like way back, and I was like, fucking A, go to this page and tell me what happens. And so he actually, it was he had it right on hand, because I couldn't find it online, and I'm like, I'm blind right now, I need something to help me here. And Jeff came
sure, let me just get my scanner.
And he scanned up a picture of it and sent it to me, and I said, okay, there we go, let me just fix a sentence. And so a lot of the older lore is still canon, but it's hard to get access to. So that's why I'm really stoked for Chronicle 2, because we're going deep into Draenor stuff about that. So I'd say later this year, the Lost Codex is going to be going to Draenor, because Lost Codex 1 was just, the volume 1 was amazing. And our first like 5 chapters were pretty much from Chronicle. Matt Greenberg and Robert Brooks and Chris Metzen just blew it out of the park. So I think Chronicle 2 is so hyped after the hype for the first volume that we're just drooling to get our hands on it.
Yep, definitely.
So I'd say Chronicle 1 is our main source. Gamepedia and in-game followed closely second. So we cross-reference that and go from there.
Is there anyone, and in chat brought up, the differences, and we can't keep going forward without bringing up Noble, who's been on the show multiple times before, who does obviously lore videos in a very different fashion. And has there been any back and forth between the two of you with Noble? And like, do you pick his brain, or have you ever referenced or gone back to any of his videos to like, is this still correct? Did he talk about it too? I don't know how does that back and forth or interaction work with you guys?
So I think Jeff actually got to meet Noble at one of the BlizzCons.
I saw him, but I never actually talked to him. And
Okay.
That was like the year before we ever even started Lost Codex. So
Okay. But I actually didn't know if Noble was a fan of ours, or if he really what his thoughts on the Lost Codex were until recently. In his end of year video, he did an awesome shout out to us, and he fanboyed and gushed over us, which was really cool. That was awesome. So there's actually been a couple of videos my Odin video where we go back and cross-reference for a couple of fact-checking things. But mostly, and that's probably one of the most common comments we have is collaborate with Novel, do this with Novel. So I definitely want to pick his brain. It'd be cool to have like a lore geek out in some sort of way, whether we record it or not,
right?
With Novel. But we haven't yet. But it's a new year, so who knows what's on the horizon.
All in due time, I suppose. Yeah,
that's it.
And not to like discredit Novel at all, but there's so much to go through, and I think that a lot of it, as these, do we know how many chronicles are going to be created? Is it just
right now 3?
3, okay.
Because so Volume 2 ends at I believe the end of the Second War.
Oh.
Volume 3 is being worked on right now, and that's going to cover all of Warcraft 3 and every single World of Warcraft expansion up to Legion, I believe. So it's safe to assume that when the next couple expansions come out,
right,
they'll have enough for content, and they'll go back and they'll expand on it. I don't know if we go to like 2 years time, we go to random Planet A or something like that, and Blizzard needs new lore, they can easily justify making another. Right now there's only 3, but it's safe to assume with how popular they are and where the story's going on Azeroth that Volume 4 is all but confirmed.
Right.
I'm hoping. If it doesn't happen, I'd be very disappointed. But with how New York Times best-selling list was Volume 1.
Yep.
Volume 2 is going to slam that easily.
Yep.
So, and it's kind of like a new age of lore right now because Metzen's gone. Metzen's out of Blizzard. He's left his trail, and so Volume 3. I don't know how much Metzen worked on Volume 3 or Volume 2, but I know Robert Brooks and Matt Burns are both cranking that out. So it's almost like a new age of lore where they're going with the story. So it'd be interesting to see the future of Azeroth and the new canonizations and stuff like that. So right now only 3, but I'm hoping 10.
It's the canonization and the fixing, because there's like the branching out points that you never know, because obviously the games outside of a few points that have been fixed and cleared up in the chronicles they're all canon, but then there's the graphic novels, the comics, the side game that is or the freaking tabletop game, right? Like the D&D version of World of Warcraft that's also not real, but there's so much in that book. So there's all these extra things, and of course all the actual novelization that's in the games that gets pulled out, or the short stories on the website. There's all these things, and so the Chronicle really helps.
One thing that people forget with a lot of those, especially with World of Warcraft, why I'm excited for Volume 3 is because a lot of the dungeons and raids and storylines that we've cleared up, canonically, they don't happen through us. Like for example, Onyxia's first death, she's canonically killed by Varian and a bunch of random heroes. But when we did the raid back in Vanilla, Varian wasn't with us. So I really want to see where Blizzard canonizes certain things, especially characters that they gave a lot of new flavor to. So in Volume 1, they talked about Arcadius and Ironaya, these Titan Watchers, and they were level 35 bosses in Uldaman that are these gods. So I'm excited to see, like, are they really dead? Did we kill them? Are they in hibernation? What's going on there? So a lot of the lore that we do in game kind of happens a little bit differently in actual lore. So I'm kind of curious to see where Blizzard ties those ends up.
Yeah, how they're efficiently wrapped up for us to understand how they have, because the video game has to exist in a certain way because it is still a video game, right? Yeah. And there are
You're
parts
not the
of
hero, I'm the hero.
Right, exactly. And there's certain things that are very much that we have to accept as a video game engine or part of the experience, which aren't how the story goes. So those are really interesting. So sure. But then I guess on a more like general front, then how long does say one of your, like the Scepter of Vajara or the the Cursed Red Blades of the South Seas, like how long does an average video take you to put together from your perspective then, Jeff, on your side? And we're going to go through some of these BTS slides now if you want to. How does that work for you?
I think if I get like the complete script and all the scene descriptions from Jesse, for example, for like a holocore episode, I can probably crank it out in like something like a midweek or a week or something. Because the holocore is by now mostly cut in presets, so it's relatively quick for me to work on, unlike the regular storybook episodes. So yeah, once I've got those, it's probably a couple of days, everything included. Depends on the difficulty of the shots. I mean, if Jesse wants me to like show an entire fleet of pirate ships, and I'm like, okay, let me think about that for a couple of minutes. How am I going to do that? But yeah, something like that.
So I'm bringing up a few of these, like the holocore builds. I've got the Hyun High Mountain one. Your step-by-step going in right here real quick just to show. I'll let it loop at least one more time. So these are just like how many elements you pull from. And this goes without trying to brag too much, but because after you've learned and built so many of these assets, like you just said, there's a bit of a, not a cut and paste, but you know what you have to pull apart, and you have so many assets already created, which help you continuously build these pieces before. And I have to bring up, and I brought this up in the BTS podcast, which is a little bit of a teaser for that. Jesse and I sort of went over the After Effects thing you do with the lightning fire effect that you have, like the line work,
the laser thing,
yeah. Because what Jesse told me, if I remember correctly, is that when he puts in his screen directions, make it epic, that is sort of what happens. I'll bring up the Titans build now. That is sort of what happens with what you've built. Is there anything that you use that you like your signature bits? Like, what do you think is a signature thing of how you edit these pieces together?
By now, I would have to agree. The laser thing, the laser effect. It's a preset by Video Copilot, which is one of the best known After Effects tutorial websites and all that. They've made that preset, and it basically just turns whatever line you can draw into a pretty epic laser. And that includes like if you can like draw lines over the letters if you put in text, or you can draw lines over the outlines of characters. So yeah, basically that effect is like become the hallmark of at least at the very least like the holocore that's like mostly built around that effect, and the storybook episodes use it as well, but just a little bit less.
And there's also the magic poof.
Oh yeah, the magic poof.
That's my favorite one, because it's like I said yesterday in the chat. It could fit so many different feelings. It can go from corrupted fell to anything, and all it takes is to change the color. And sometimes I don't even know what we're missing. I'm kind of like, we're missing something, and he adds the poof, and I'm like, that's it.
We're done. Poof. Yeah.
How many I got the Sarge explosion going on right now. I'll let that loop a couple more times. But how many programs would you say, what do you use to put these together? Like what do you do step by step? Where do you pull these assets from to create these scenes, these templates, these shots in filmology? How do you put these together?
I put it all together in After Effects. And that's also where I do like most of the cutting. For example, like the Yasarj base shot is a picture by what's his name again, Jesse? I'm terrible at names.
Hypnos.
Hypnos,
we'll do a little shout out for him. He's on DeviantArt.
He does amazing stuff. So I take one of his pictures, cut out, for example, like the Yasarj in this, and then put him like on the page, and then I anim. When I've done putting everything in, I'll start animating them so that they either get drawn in or bleed in or anything else. The normal characters from the game I get from the Wild Mother Viewer when it decides to work.
Yeah.
And the particle effects, the blood splatter and all that. Also like various different graphic packages that I've picked up over the years.
I get to, it's funny, I should have brought this one up earlier. I've got the Medivh versus Agewind, and it's funny because you see, we were talking about the lightning laser. You just draw these two squiggles, and the next frame is turns it into laser beams.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the effect.
That is pretty excellent. You brought up the WoW model viewer, and Skog, my current graphic artist, because Whammo now works at Blizzard, so he can no longer work with me on stuff. So Skog has been putting together stuff for me now for a little while, and we've been building things. And he has a bit of a workaround that works, so I could probably get in touch with you to talk to him about what he does to pull models. I wish that the WoW 3D tool was in existence and was finished as a project, but I need a coder, someone that's good with the language that it's written in to finish the project, because the original author has stepped away from it after laying the groundwork. So if you're really good with coding and building programming, then let me know. Email me. Email's on Twitter.
Please.
Because it works now. I'll give you the link to the GitHub so you guys can see if it still works into a degree. But I think Skog said it's not fully functional in Legion. But we have a new program that I was building and paying for and getting done for work in War Crimes, which was going to be the next step of the model viewer. But it's not finished and it's not done. And it might, hopefully, it will come to light at some point. But again, I need someone to work on it to finish it, because it is not currently working completely. But you could drag and drop things from the actual game files. You could actually just ping the server to pull up files and effects and models. Wow. And the whole goal was to be able to pull that out and to bring it out from the WoW 3D tool and be able to actually use it with bones and rigging into 3ds Max and whatnot. So,
I also visited the cinematics panel at BlizzCon last year, where they were showing like how they made the Suramar intro cinematic and all those cinematics. And they showed like some of the text they use, the tech they use, and it's like, I want that. That would make my life so much easier. I mean, they could put a camera anywhere in the world.
Yep.
Do a camera move, and then basically just like do that camera move anywhere else in the world, and it would like be super easy to manipulate. It was like, damn, please give us that, or at least like an official, always working model viewer. Because well, the model viewer we have now is great. It does, I think it's like being worked on by one person. So
it's not very.
I mean, they're only humans, so
right.
We can't expect too much. But it's like,
it would be. I think I've brought it up before. I've poked Taryn Gregory, who is the WoW, or I guess more of he's Blizzard in-game cinematics director, and he Taryn's a butt, and
he's responsible for the Green Dragon. Oh God, I'm terrible.
Ysera.
Yeah, he's responsible for that. Go blame him.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But some other games, properties, AAA titles, or indie have they have these resources that are available for the community to help build things that they're okay with making. But WoW is so much stuff gets made out of World of Warcraft, and there's no like official support for it. And I've always wondered why there isn't a more official way to pull models out of the game or machinima tool or something, because I feel like how much more would get made if there was something that wasn't, not to be rude to WoW model viewer, but janky. Because again, like a new patch comes out and the whole thing breaks, just explodes, and then you can't make stuff, right? So they get to like find these awkward workarounds, and I never know why, because they're in-house machinima tools. They make all the new cutscenes that are from last expansion, especially now in Legion. They're all fantastic.
Yeah, and they're all but like basically just complete 3D animation by now, actually.
Yeah, but they still have to pull out all the resources. They're not going to remodel everything. Yeah. So, and like the Heroes of the Storm team, their machinima team stuff, it does this too. Like the new Probius trailer just came out. That's all 3D modeled stuff, but it's all the models come from the game file. So we can't do that as a community, though. It's tough. So there's a certain level of lockdown there that I wish was not as under lock and key, but we will we'll see.
Especially like there was for like Well, also Draenor, we had a moment again that had like a camera tool that was being actively developed, so that we could like fly a camera on the live WoW like any way we wanted to, and that was great for taking background shots or shots of architecture that was like hard to reach, especially like in Draenor or now in on the Broken Isles, because we can't fly there yet.
Right.
And I think it hasn't been updated for months, and that kind of hurts our kind of project. So, I mean, I should say, I've basically been able to find like other ways to get the shots I needed, or like just use other stuff. But getting something like a camera tool again, that would be amazing.
Yeah, there's a few things that I wish was developed, and I was trying to circumnavigate that. But again, if you're good at programming, let me throw me an email. We'll talk.
Oh, this guy, please.
We'll talk. Yeah, but because it was gonna be free, the whole program was gonna be free when it was done. But is there anything else you want to walk through about the video creation process, or anything we missed over this before we take the little mid-show commercial break? If chat was wondering, there's going to be a open little Q&A section. After the break, we'll come back. We'll talk about future plans. We have the teaser for the next upcoming video that these two gentlemen are putting together, and then we'll have some time to talk to chat. But is there anything from the first sections that you wanted to go over that we've skipped or forgotten, or that you wanted to bring up?
Not really. Is there anything you want to bring up, Jesse?
I'm just going through the notes here. No, we pretty much hit every nail on the head there.
I hope so.
The one thing, it's kind of backtracking a lot to our origin story.
Okay, go for it.
More origin story is the involvement. Jeff and I were on board for this, but we were kind of like, all right, like, this is a good idea to do. So we kind of asked a couple people. We asked the music guy we worked with, Walid, we mentioned earlier. And we also had some feedback from both Taryn and Diva and a couple other people. And I'd like to say that it was because of their encouragement and their advice that Jeff and I like Taryn gave Jeff some pointers with some technical pointers that I didn't understand what was going on, but Jeff was like, okay, thank you for all the help. So there was a lot of back and forth between just so many different parties that helped get this channel off the ground. And if you go back and watch some of our earlier videos, there's a lot that's changed visually with the audio as well, aside from my voice, because my voice is always changing. But that it got off the ground, because Jeff and I put our nose to the grinder, but I'd like to also little shout out to those people who were involved with that. Taryn, Diva, Matt Greenberg, Walid. They're kind of responsible for kind of giving us a little bit of the boost to get that channel going. So that's major part of our origin story. And of course, without knowing, Samwise's ABC tweet, always be creating. That's kind of the catalyst that started this all. So not many people know the origin story behind the Lost Codex, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget that part.
No, that sounds great. That's awesome stuff. I'm making sure we're prepped for. Oh, that's weird. That broke the region there. We'll make sure the preview is good to go. I had spoken to Taryn the first time. This has got to be 3 BlizzCons ago now, and if you go back in the depths of my YouTube channel, I actually had spoken to Chris Metzen back in the day as well about machinima and voice acting and stuff like that too. So I had similar tracks with getting information from like the big boys, right? The guys that have done this for so long. And there's so many little things that they're so willing to openly help with and whatnot, and help us little guys, us community nerds that want to make things in this world and create together. That it's been an amazing resource too. So definitely a big shout out to Taryn Gregory. But he's a butt. He's still such a butt.
He's a butt.
He is. But next up, I'm going to plug some things real quick that chat may or may not have heard about. And first of course, is I have to plug these guys' YouTube channel, right? So the Lost Codex YouTube channel has been popping up on your screen here a couple of times, but it's just youtube.com/The Lost Codex. you can go jump over to their YouTube channel and check out all the different videos they have together and put out. So remember, the Hollow Core are very specific videos that are about, you know, the artifact weapons. They're doing a lot right now. Here's the history of Suramar and the Nighthold, if you want to check that out after the show. I just watched the Halls of Valor video the other day, actually, too. That was really neat. Cliff notes, Odin is a dick. Just like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
His wrap up, like the part 2 of his jackassery, is actually the big script I'm working on right now. The last couple of days I've been working. It's going to be a bigger episode. It's going to be part 2 of that chapter, cool. And it starts off right with Odin being a dick.
He's such a dick.
But you know what? We always see that. We always see like these godlike characters, and not just in WoW, but in anything, and they have no flaws. So, you know, Odin's this being, this godlike being, and I'm kind of glad that he's got like a dark past, he's got like a dark history, and I'm kind of glad that we just didn't kill him because he was a dick a million years ago. He's involved in 7.2 in a lot of things. He's just, little spoilers, I don't know if you guys any warriors here, but one of the scenes in 7.2 is his Valajar just teleporting onto the front lines and they're dying, and then the Valkyr just resurrecting them over and over and over again. So he's got this unlimited, endless army, and I'm kind of like, that's so badass. But then you know his history, and you're kind of like, okay, this guy is very majorly flawed.
Yeah, no, he is an interesting character, and I'm glad there's more on him coming out. And again, yeah, go check out that video on their channel. There's plethora more, of course, and of course the Lost Codex on Twitter if you want to tweet at them and see what's coming up when they post new things, of course. I wanted to get another shout out really quick here to the assistant producers of FinalBossTV. Again, that is Troffles, Ludovicus, Taislin, and R4. Thank you very much for your support for the show on Patreon. And if you missed the little preamble, there are additional podcasts. This is the new thing. I got to keep making sure people realize this. If you are supporting the show at the Epic tier or higher, you get access to additional podcasts that are recorded for Patreon and only for you guys. Normally they are just with the guests, with me, and we're setting up before the show. There is going to be one for this episode that's going to be live in a few days. That is just Jesse and I talking about Lost Codex and prepping for the show and whatnot, but it's unscripted and sort of like an extra little bit for you if you want more of the show. But there are 2 exclusives on this episode today. So everyone tuning in right now, of course, I'll send this out on Twitter and Facebook after this. But Exorcist recently was on the show. Their video is online. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play as well, audio only. But Exorcist was just here for their world first. Now, if you have been around for a while, I sort of do these like sort of commemorative little like, you know, slices of history, right? So they have their Mythic World First Xavius. I get together with these amazing artists. We put together these awesome shirts. And of course, if you want to get these extra pieces of, you know, I guess history or just a way to support the show as well, keep the lights on, as it were. There are other ones. And there are, of course, all the different styles of things you can purchase on My Design by Human store, right? There's the 2 Method shirts from last expansion, the Xavius one for Exorcist right now. But if you scroll down, oh, what's that right there? So Tutron and I have gone through a totally different style, and we are trying out something completely different with the Exorcist World First for Gul'dan, or the Demon Within shirt. And this is our first, like, very stylized, very almost just trying to be a shirt design shirt. And this is now available right now. Link is down below. There's a ton of different colors and styles and sweatshirts and hoodies and tank tops, all other stuff too. That is the Demon Within sort of faded Illidan silhouette. And then, of course, the really ridiculously awesome Gul'dan skull exploding. The only real tie to Exorcist, very subtly, of course, if you know the history of the thing, is that the X in the eye is the X from their logo. But that is now available. The Demon Within shirt is now live. So check the link out below if you would like to purchase one of those. DBH right now has got free shipping, free worldwide shipping on all apparel if you order $75 or more. So a couple of shirts, then you get free shipping. I have shipped, and some giveaways have gone on recently where I've done giveaways for apparel on my DBH store. I pay for it, I ship it to you. International shipping is a pain in the butt. So if you can take advantage of not paying for shipping, then go for it. And of course, I'll let you guys know on the future on the live streams if there are any deals or specials going on. But the shirt is live. I'm excited. I've already ordered my own, so you'll see me wearing it on the live stream. Of course, it'll be like a heathered shirt, right? Because I wear gray shirts or blue shirts only, so I'll have a gray shirt, a new gray shirt for you all soon. But that's that. Enough stuff about me plugging things. Let's jump back over here to our guests and let's talk about your future stuff, things on the horizon for you. If you can tease your viewers, the audience, about future plans. I know you've sort of already did that. So do you want me to show the preview now, or do you want to sort of lead this in before I show it off?
I'll lead in if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
So it's actually, it's not quite the next episode coming up.
Okay.
We're still developing the fine tunings of what's we're going to do with it. But it's the newest format coming up. And so we've got the Codex and we've got the Holocore format. We've got a new format coming up. It's all kind of placeholder right now. We're still working on it, but pretty much. So the Codex covers major chapters in Azeroth and Warcraft lore.
Mm-hmm.
The Holocore covers individual storylines and like the weapons, and we also cover like certain races and stuff like that. Very quick summaries. And I thought, what could we do for character summaries? What could we talk about the background of certain characters, like a full-on background of Uther, of Jaina, of Garrosh, of all these characters? What can we do with that? And at first we wanted to do like a tapestry painting, like an animated painting style. But then we came up with this. Jeff came up with this kind of idea. We'll go ahead and show that.
Okay, I will now hit the button. This is a preview of something new on the works for these gentlemen. Here we go. It ends a little abruptly because that's all I was given, but that is, I love the transition from the little statue to the Heroes of the Storm model of Varian. It's really good. It's really good.
So for this one, actually, I forget that we have access to the Heroes of the Storm model. So when we were discussing this, we're thinking that Varian's going to be our first character. So when Jeff and I were kind of playing with this, I said we should bring up Varian, and I kind of cringed because I was like, oh god, Varian's in-game model, or his previous in-game model, was very, very old. And so then when I saw this, I was like, holy crap, because I forgot that he's a Heroes thing. So
yep.
I forgot that Jeff kind of had access to that. Didn't even think of that. So when I saw that transition, because you actually see his old model in the form of the statue that's spinning, and then this HD modern piece of work right here, I'm kind of like, oh, thank God. I'm so glad we have this, because we were going to resort to, because we mentioned Hypnos earlier. I wanted to say earlier, Hypnos is actually, he's on DeviantArt, and he makes his own custom models. He takes existing models and he edits them, and then he'll take characters that aren't in lore, that aren't in game, and he'll make models for them. So he made a Mimiron model, like what Mimiron looked like before his body exploded. And it was mind-blowing. It was amazing, and he had nothing to go off of it. He had nothing, I'm gonna link this in chat right here. No previous kind of knowledge or what to go off of, so we just made this model. Anyway, we use a lot of his stuff. We communicate with him often, and he lets us use his stuff, and he has a really cool Varian picture that we're going to use. And then Jeff pulls up this one, and I'm like, never mind, we're good. We're going to use this one because this is this works brilliant.
Yeah, he Oh, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
Those Heroes of the Storm models are actually from the source source filmmaker.
Oh, okay.
And they are getting ported into that by I don't know who, but they are like it's not definitely not instant. So like for example, the Probius will probably not be in it for at least a couple of weeks after it's gone live. But yeah, that gives me the chance to get those models, put them in front of a green screen, and then use them. And especially if you recall Medivh versus Egwin, the build-up, that Medivh model is actually from Heroes of the Storm as well. Because, well, yeah, the Medivh model we have in Live WoW is, I think, back from the Burning Crusade days, probably.
Yeah, Black Morass days. Uses a Night Elf skeleton, oh god.
Oh, wow. Now you mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah, I think I knew of Hypnos. I don't know if he's watching right now. I don't know if he's peeked his head into chat or anything like that. But I think I would definitely have use or desire for his skills in the future. So I'll have to send him a message because I've been aware, and ever since I saw your channel, because you have him credited in some of the art you have in some of your videos, I've always been like this stuff to me because I have ideas, I have the direction, the writing, and the producing side, but I can't. My storyboards are awful, right? They are, and those are just storyboards. This is bad. I can't draw. I don't have the artistic side of this stuff to go for. So this is, artists of this self-taught caliber, like with Jeff sitting right here, like this stuff is really, really amazing. I really, really like this stuff. It's too good.
And just for the record, I can't draw either, so it's not, doesn't come with the package.
Right. Yeah. You can draw squiggly lines that turn into lightning bolts. That's pretty good.
I can draw brilliant squiggly lines, but like I can draw storyboards of like stick figures, no problem. Anything else? Oh boy.
Do you
kind of what I was saying yesterday in the chat yesterday with your Patreon call?
Right.
Is in the screen directions, when I write the screen directions, I usually try to find, if I have to make a custom model in the model viewer, I know that's a lot of work. So if there's something specific I want, I'll make it, or I'll send a link so Jeff doesn't have to go digging. And oftentimes I'll say in short, make ABC, and then he goes and makes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and he makes it just that much more. He'll say, how's this? And I'm like, that's totally 10 times better than what I was picturing. So it kind of the screen directions are there, and then he kind of takes his creative approach to that. So
but let's add more laser.
Honestly, we're gonna do an entire episode on lasers. Just the Holocore episode features lasers.
I mean, there is definitely a market for like the funny videos, like the really quick ones that like kind of make fun of your own craft. So you could do like a 90-second supercut of everything is lasers. The Holocore presents lasers. I mean, you could do something. I mean, if you can't make fun of yourself, then
we'll just make up some lore about Ulduar lasers and stuff.
Hey, you could. I mean, did you see Nobble's recent video and title of his video and the purpose of it? I mean, you gotta be funny stuff now and then. The whole like not clickbait video that he made. It was really good. I watched it. It's good stuff. So, but you brought up that bit at the end there, but is there anything you'd like to just say real quick before we go to the Q&A section to just your fans or supporters, just like carte blanche, just right here at the camera? Well, Jesse can't at the camera, he's a spinning sphere right now, but still, I mean, Jesse, do you want anything to say to the folks out there on the internet?
I'll just be cheesy and just thank our fans. I don't think Jeff and I really expected this to blow up so fast and so big. This was just a side project, just to keep doing stuff on the side. And the amount of support we've had, both from new subscribers, people who've never heard of us. I've been sent messages, people who've never played the game before that have tried the game because of our videos, which was really cool to me because my goal was to make it accessible to both lore lovers. Oh, there I am on screen. Mm-hmm. And lore lovers and people who know lore and people who don't know lore. So when I see people kind of given all this praise. It's I think both Jeff and I are pretty shocked about how big it exploded. So we're really thankful to that. Thankful to Blizzard because Blizzard's been awesome in supporting us with the Odin feature, the BattleNet Suramar feature. It was really cool to go to BlizzCon and have Blizzard developers geek out on me. We had Dave Kozak, who's now on the Hearthstone team. I went to give him our business card, and he kind of freaked out. He's like, "Wait, this is you!" And he fanboyed on us, which was was so weird to be on the other end of the fanboy table. So just Blizzard themselves has been super supportive. People reaching out in the community. You having us on the show, this is a huge being interviewed, even though we're awkward as hell in your video at BlizzCon. It was still kind of cool after Jeff and I were talking about it. It was kind of a neat experience. So was this. We definitely want to come back. So literally just thanking everyone who watches our videos, all of the support, people giving us shout outs. I'll let Jet talk because I haven't stopped talking for 2 minutes straight.
Well, there's one advantage to that. It means like you basically said everything I would like to say. Thank you to everyone at Blizzard who's been helping us and who's been like cheering us on. Thanks to all the fans that we've got. I mean, I can remember like the moment that the Lost Codex channel actually like went over my old private channel where I used to host all my like normal machinima movies. It broke that subscriber count in like the first month or like the second month. I'm like, okay, I guess it's working. Mm-hmm. It's been like it's been a very wild and very fun ride ever since.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully many more amazing projects to come, and we'll go from there. But if you have questions for Jeff and Jesse, please feel free to post them now, and we'll basically go question to question. And the first one that I guess I had, so that chat has some time, was what has been your biggest hurdle that you've experienced in building any video? Like, has any one part of a video been like this ridiculous thorn in your side that you just made you like want to quit the project or move on or change everything? Like, was there something in particular that was just that thorn in your side that may give you like the heebie-jeebies or the nightmares? Like, what is anything like that?
I can like chime in on that one at least a little bit.
Yeah.
There was like a period when the Legion model viewer wasn't working yet, and it must have been like I think one of the Night Elf episodes we did, and we needed to show like the Nightwell Night Elves, or at least having them wear Nightwell gear, and the only way we could like get that was the Wowhead model viewer, because that one was working.
Oh, okay.
But you can't put it on a green screen. You can't get the background away easily. So the way I solved that was like I was like literally grabbing screenshots from putting up on the desktop, grabbing screenshots and like cutting out all the characters, like drawing a mask around them.
Oh gosh.
Some of those shoulder pieces are like so detailed. So I was like, all right, you want a night elf in this shot? All right, that's exactly what you're getting. You get one night elf. Next shot. Oh, you want another night elf? God damn it. And so on and so on. Yeah. So that was definitely one of those projects I was like, okay, I'm starting to regret starting this project.
There's one that I could think of specifically shortly after that. We were talking about the Hunter survival weapon and the story of Huln High Mountain. In Huln's story, he gets new antlers, moose antlers, and they're not available on the model viewer.
Yeah.
But they're kind of important to the story. Like, they're very important to the story, and the only thing we could do was use the Wowhead, the Wowhead model viewer. But the Wowhead model viewer wasn't really working with the antlers, and they were dark and green.
Those antlers just didn't work.
They had I don't think they had no texture, or they were the color was off. I can't remember, Jeff. But
yeah, they had no texture, and the way that model viewer shows it is like one bland color. So I think it was like bright blue or something.
It was really weird, and I kind of thought for a moment, oh, we'll just not use them. And then I thought about it. I'm like, no, this is actually like crucial to the story. And it was just to the point where I don't know what we ended up doing in the end. I think I think I remember what I did. I was like, I went in game to like the nearest high mountain torrent I could find, and then like jumped around it because my gnome he's a gnome, so the camera point is slightly lower than normal characters. So I was like jumping around,
trying to get that one split second of footage that I could like freeze frame and cut them out. And
Oh gosh.
that was exactly one of the same kind of projects. Like, oh god, please no more torrent.
Well, it's funny you both bring up that sort of situation because I have the workaround I was talking about earlier. I will get the workaround to you to help alleviate that. Of course, the long-term goal again is to get the WoW 3D tool, but there's a workaround that I can help you with that situation, hopefully, and we'll talk about that later. But go over to chat. So Jan asks about the books. So he said, haven't read the book yet, but he got The Last Guardian from the bookstore. And the way you spoke about the Chronicle series, it sounds like it's an over-encompassing lore book. In the future, though, should I just get the lore books instead of the Rise of the Horde book or the War of the Ancients trilogy, etc., and the like? So comparing the Chronicle to like the standalone story or trilogy books.
So to answer that one, I still think don't read both. Definitely read both.
Yeah.
I would read the stories first. So read The Last Guardian, read Rise of the Horde first. But keep in mind that was a different age for Blizzard. So a lot of that has changed. Specifically, I could think of something in Rise of the Horde. There's a pretty significant lore change coming in Volume 2 that's different from Christie Golden's Rise of the Horde. It doesn't change a lot of lore, but it does change enough that you're going to read one or the other and you're going to be like, okay, it's different. Chronicle anything will be 100% canon. Mm-hmm. And there's mention to it in same with the War of the Ancients in Chronicle 1. It talks about a lot of that stuff. So I'd still read the stories, those books to get the feel for the characters and learn about the individual smaller plot lines, but go back and read Chronicle as a summary, if not for the summary itself, but for the art inside, because the art's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get the fixes of, oh, okay, so they did change that part wasn't answered, but now it is answered. So I'd do both. I'd say read the stories first and then read Chronicle as a wrap up.
Yeah, the
a
Chronicle,
very fancy wrap up.
Yeah, the Chronicle's sort of written encyclopedia style with like entries, and it's very like not cut and dry, but like the lore and what happened is very to the point. It doesn't
very
have
codexy.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have like dialogue and story building and that kind of character stuff like that the same way. It's very much a encyclopedia. So yeah. Is that Yevrogodny? I can't pronounce the name.
Yevero Dagny.
Yevero Dagny. Oh my goodness. So for Jesse, tacos or burritos?
Tacos. And for reference, Jeff, that's Mike asking that question.
Oh, okay. Someone you know. Okay.
We know that. We know that person. You didn't have to read that one. But tacos.
Every
Definitely
question.
Tacos.
Every question.
Every question. Let's do it.
Now, you said tacos, but now it's crunchy or soft shell.
Oh, ooh. You're asking a deep question. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten in a couple hours. This isn't fair.
Yep.
Crunchy. No, soft shell.
Oh, gosh.
Right, then I'm going to pick crunchy.
Both.
At the same time?
Yes, one on each hand.
Wow.
Double fisting.
Okay. Roderick asked, favorite item of the new WoW cookbook? I haven't dabbled in the new WoW cookbook. Have either of you?
I got it for Christmas. It's really, really cool. I'm not much of a drinker, but the alcohol drinks in it alone look amazing. Like the cider, there's a Great Father Winter ale that looks really good. There's like a Hearthglen Ambrosia, and there's a lot of like chilies and stuff like that. Looks really cool. They have and some exotic recipes too. Like one of the Dwarven Ironforge recipes is they actually use haggis in the recipe. And I was surprised because you don't see haggis used in everyday recipes. So I haven't actually tried anything from it, but I'd say the desserts look the coolest and the alcoholic drinks look the best.
Interesting. I'm bringing it up in the little B-roll section here. Yeah. Honey spiced lichen Ironforge rations.
What's cool about that is the first 20 pages is them preparing like just traditional spices and stuff, but there's about like 7 different spices, like ancient Pandaren spices and night elf spices and all these different spices that they reference later in the book. So when you're making a Pandaren dish, they tell you to add Pandaren herbs. And when I was reading it the first time, I'm like, what the hell are Pandaren herbs? And then there's an actual recipe for Pandaren herbs.
That's pretty
So
cool.
yeah, it's really cool. I highly recommend grabbing it. It's a heavy duty book too. It's like you could, hurt someone with it too. It's hardcover, beat someone to death with it. I don't recommend that, but
It's a big book.
it is.
That is very, very cool. I haven't dabbled in that book yet. How about, what are your favorite characters in the lore? If you each have a favorite character.
I'll let Jeff answer this one first because I got to think.
I could probably come up with something better, but I always, I think she was called Kindy Sparkshine, the little gnome.
Oh no,
apprentice
Jeff.
of,
Oh
Jaina.
no, Jeff! Oh,
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
why did you bring up Kindy?
Exactly for that reason.
Oh
Fine.
no.
That is Terran.
Finally, have like a gnome main-ish character, and then, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but yeah, that.
I need to,
And then her father in Dalaran every evening at like 9 p.m. or something.
yeah,
It's
he
like-
walks around. He does walk around. I was gonna dig back through. I was trying to find, because we did, because Kindy is a big part of War Crimes, at least for a side story we were going to do a branching episode of, or part of an episode of, and we made art for her, like what she would actually look like. And I don't think I have that art on my computer right now. I think it's backed up. Yeah, it's not here. I was going to bring that up on screen. The amazing art that Farnham made of Kindy it's so good. If you don't know the story of Kindy, it's in the it's Tides of War, right?
Yeah, Tides of War.
Tides of War. Yep. Jaina's first and only apprentice, and the reason why she's her only is because of what happens to her. But all right, Jesse, what about yours?
I like every aspect of lore, but I'm gonna say if I had to pick one, I'm a big fan of Grom. I was super stoked to see him come back in Warlords, and because the story's kind of left open, I'm not sure how I feel about the end of Warlords, but I'm eager to see where they go in the future with him. I love Orcish culture and I love Draenei culture. That's why I'm really excited for Chronicle 2. So I had a hard time picking, but I'm gonna just stick with my boy Hellscream. Seeing him in the movie, just a very small reference to him, but seeing him in the movie was kind of a fist pump moment for me. So, yeah, I'll stick with Grom, but there's dozens of characters I could have chosen.
Yeah, I just found it too, latest. So interesting. So now you said Grom, but do you mean Grom Hellscream like original Warcraft 3, not the Gromosh from Warlords of Draenor?
Both. So
Okay.
I was excited to see Grommash in Warlords. I think that with the way Warlords was, how the storyline came out, I think there was a couple chapters that was missed with Blizzard. A lot of people like to hate on that last cinematic because Grom is, cheering Draenor is free, all the stuff, and we were just fighting him. But I think there's a lot of background story there, and I really want Blizzard. I hope Blizzard goes back and just writes a little follow-up, like not a trial, because we know how that happened last time with the last Hellscream, but at least having, like, people said, Yrel should have just I got into a conversation with Terran about this, that Yrel should just bashed his head in, and the whole story was like, did you not follow Yrel's storyline? Like, that's not what she would have done at all. So I really hope that because Grom got his ass handed to him hard, or Grommash rather, that we see him again, but just the character itself, both what Garrosh did and going back to kind of redeem his dad, and the parallels of alternate Grom and main Grom, and then alternate Grom realizing who Garrosh was. I like that aspect of it. And I know that there's a cliffhanger. I know that I hope we're not quite done with Grommash, but I'd say both.
Fair enough. Sounds good. Yeah, there was sort of a follow-up question to that about, I guess your friend Mike said, any plans to revisit some of the earlier artifact weapons, such as the Shadow Priest dagger? Has there been a lot of new info on them since their release? And I guess that dovetails into, what are your thoughts on, like, that updating an old video kind of thing to make it more relevant? Because it's a lot of extra work to, like, bring it and update it. I don't know what your thoughts are on those kind of things.
Jeff and I have actually talked about that. We want to, I think, finish the main artifacts now, but we did not, I don't want to say drop the ball, but the lore wasn't available at the time. So our very first Holocore episode, I believe, covers
3 weapons in like a minute.
Yeah, 3 weapons in a minute and 12 seconds or something stupid like that. And we had very limited lore accessible at the time. So I we want to go back and do it. But we're gonna finish the main artifacts, and then Shadow Priest Dagger is probably one of my favorite weapons out there. She is so saucy.
Yeah.
And I really want to talk about her, and I want to talk about Truth Guard, and I want to talk about the elemental fist weapon. So yes, I will give a Blizzard answer soon when it's ready.
There it is.
TM.
That's fair. I'm sure Jeff's just on board to make awesome arty stuff and go for it. Right?
But yeah, it's like the same thing. I mean, back in the day when we first did the Holocore episode, we would have had to like level a character to level 110 on the PTO on the beta realm to even start getting those bits of lore. And I'm like, that's not going to happen, because we would be working on that for like 3 weeks for a single video.
The artifact lore that comes from your artifact book, like the knowledge book, when you level up your artifact power, that wasn't available unless you, as Jeff said, did it in game. And then I want to say right towards the end of everything, WoW had just released all of the entries at once, and I was like, oh my god, thank you. And it basically, there's a period in time where our Holocore videos are very limited and short, and then they skyrocket and there's so much information. It's like, what happened there? Well, WoW had got their information, and it suddenly wasn't a hunt for the lore. So yeah, definitely to answer Yavero Dagny's question, Mike, we will be doing that. Yes.
Fair enough. There was something. Yeah, Latest asked about this. Is sort of why I want to do the same thing, Latest. So expansion transitions can be rough and exclude the community, war crimes, Tomb of Sargeras, sort of these small series of extra story or things that are only told in the novelizations, right? And if you don't, like, that's the biggest part of why I want to make War Crimes a episodic, right? Basically a movie cut into 10 parts, because it would fit the story. It would be sort of it would really help bridge the gap, because so many things happen in the end of Mists of Pandaria, the little short stories on the website, and then the War Crimes book that tie those two expansions together. Because if you just like quit WoW, came back in Pandaland, and all of a sudden we're in Worlds of Draenor, and the back in time alternative dimension time bubble thing, you're like, huh?
Yeah.
So thoughts on those
to answer
stories?
that question. I love those stories. I'm a huge fan of Christy Golden, so I think it'd be cool to have that as chapters, codex episodes. So, but at the same time, it's very central to Garrosh and Anduin, so maybe it would be a kind of individual character summary. I don't know. I'd definitely like to cover those because Tides of War, to tie Cataclysm and Mist together, was crucial. Everyone's kind of like, when it came out in game, why are we attacking Theramore? The book explains it, but there wasn't a lot of explanation in game.
Yeah. The in-game cinematic was like, oh, there are a couple of goblins, and they dropped a bomb, and okay.
Why are we doing that? So I definitely want to cover that and the impact of Garrosh kind of igniting that war and stuff like that. So definitely want to. There's so much lore to cover, but I'd say Christy Golden books are one of my favorite. Like, she's one of my favorite Blizzard authors. So if there's going to be any priority, it's definitely going to be towards her stuff. So War Crimes, Tides of War, stuff like that. In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, there's something very. I mean, Blizzard can't tell everything, right? And they definitely have gotten better. A lot of Legion story is very self-contained and very in the game. Like, even the extra stuff with Illidan, all of the Illidan storyline that's totally just storyline and lore and backstory, or the stuff with Khadgar and like setting up the Army of Light and bringing that to Gar, and then of course the Exdar side story with Velen and his son and all this other stuff. Spoilers, I guess, if you haven't done that quest line yet, is very helpful with tying everything together. And it's so the labor of love in Legion is obviously very, very shown. It's one of the most overwhelming, if not the most overwhelming expansion from a story and just the gameplay itself mechanics. Yeah, artifact power farming. But there are definitely things in the past that these huge holes. So yeah, that would be very awesome to get those done. That'd be great. There's sort of so there's a couple of like little questions, I guess, here. There was like your favorite lore moment, or Bloodhelper asks, what's your most hated part of the Warcraft lore? I think I like the I guess most despised or most part. Is there something that really irks you about Warcraft lore that comes to mind? That might be a little bit of a tough one.
Yeah. I could go for the easy answer and like there's not enough known lore, but that's easy.
I like it. That's a good one.
I mean, like, how many times have we tried to take back our city and still failed?
Yeah, it's poor gnomes.
Yeah.
Poor gnomes. But I guess the other question is, do you guys have a... Be Nerdy asked, where do you think we will go after Argus? But that's sort of what's the next expansion? What are your thoughts on that? Are you on the same train as...
I'm on that board. I've been saying it for years, but we're gonna go fight N'Zoth next time. I am on board that train like no tomorrow. I have been hyping for a Naga expansion for years, and I hope it happens. I keep saying it. I've been saying it since before Cataclysm. Oh, the next one's Naga. Then it's no Deathwing. Okay, the next one's Naga. Nope, it's Pandas. Okay, the next one's definitely Naga. Nope, it's
time travel
Orcs. All right, we got the Naga here. Nope, it's the Legion. So honestly, what are they going to pull out next? I hope it's Naga. I really want to see Zandalar. I really want to see Undermine. I really want to see Kulturas. And I want to see N'Zoth finally. I want to see what he's up to. That's why I want to talk about the Shadow Priest dagger. And I said how saucy she is. She's been talking a lot. She says a lot. And Blizzard loves to hint and to sneak at stuff like that. So I'm on board that train, definitely. Mm-hmm. We're coming back after Argus, and we're gonna find a whole lot of water.
I hope so. There are 2 videos I think just came out. I think Bellular made one and Nobbles made one about the next expansion, and I wonder, because they make these, all the different YouTubers out there that make these, and sometimes I'm just like, you know what? Maybe, and then we go to Draenor, and we're like, well, okay.
Come out of nowhere.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I hope we go to Argus, we come back, and the planet's flooded.
Yeah. I mean, look what happened when the last time we went somewhere to kick a dude's ass. We went to Northrend and killed Arthas. And by the time we got back home, this dragon that was popped out of the ground.
Murdered everything.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. So Jan asked a follow-up question about the authors in the books, and I don't really have much of an opinion on these. I haven't read as many as these fine gentlemen may have, but opinions on Richard Knack. I guess there's Richard Knack and there's Christy Golden. Is there one other author that's written WoW books? Can't.
Oh yeah, he wrote the Vol'jin story. Michael Stackpole.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Knack because I used to read Knack's books back when he wrote Dragonlance. I know there's a lot of flames around Knack. A lot of people don't like Knack, and I as a famous author, you're going to get criticism, and I think it was just a circle jerk train. People jumped on board that. But I was a big fan of Knack's earlier works. His works with Warcraft novels, the War of the Ancients isn't my favorite series, but it's not his fault. I wasn't interested at the time when I read it for the War of the Ancients, I'd say. Time travel I felt was awkward in it. And time travel is always awkward, so it's not criticism on him. It's just my personal opinion.
Right.
But there's a lot, you go, if you just write the words Richard Knack on the story forum, you're going to have a million nerds attack you. There's this weird circle jerk to hate him, and I don't really think it's fair, but that's the internet for you, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I sort of not to discredit the authors, but I sort of like almost take them away from the piece and just focus on the actual story in the book itself, right? So, but I definitely I gave a little bit of an elbow to Christy Golden when I was working on and when I read War Crimes, and I was like, she was really into Game of Thrones when she wrote this book. Because you can tell with how compartmentalized each like story piece feels, and they all kind of blend together toward the end. It's very Game of Thronesy.
Very.
So you can definitely, oh yeah, which is fine. It's a great book, but I know it's gonna be. I haven't read a lot of the other stories to know how the different authors really wiggle around in there. But speaking of authors, unless Jeff has something to add about the books.
Nope. I just, I got like, if I'm looking to the side, I can see at least 2 Christy Golden World of Warcraft books, and I've got the Assassin's Creed book she wrote recently as well. So I definitely like what she does, and I don't think I've read any of the other books. So yeah.
How about? I assume both of you have seen the movie.
Yes.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the film? That'll be the last question we take. What are your thoughts on the film, Jeffrey? And analyze it from like your sort of perspective, right? So what do you think of the movie from with your eyes, Jeff? What do you think of the film?
Very, very, very pretty. I loved the spell effects and all that, and I think they really did it justice. There was like a little bit. It felt a little bit awkward that like everyone calling Medivh Guardian.
Mm.
Like you don't have to call him Guardian every time you meet him. Like just a bit. You could definitely see like they were a bit too much introduction to everything. But yeah, in terms of like the action, how it all looked, the orcs were amazing, and the spell effects of like it's from a graphical point of view, it's like yes, give me more of this.
No, I definitely agree. Jesse, what do you think of the Warcraft film?
I loved it. It's hard for me to criticize it because it's a bit of a fanboy mentality. Right. But when I go back and look at it, the thing that gets me is the pacing. And I know there was something like 47 minutes cut from legendary cut 47 minutes at the end of it, which I know I'm pretty sure Duncan Jones himself, like a lot of people were upset with that because the pacing just felt so rushed. And like the first war, even though that technically wasn't the full first war, it's supposed to take place over the course of like a year to a year and a half. And that was like 5 days, or it felt like 5 days. And just, it didn't feel like even in Lord of the Rings, like there's the moving of mass troops and supplies and setting up, camps and stuff like that. Even though it's 3 hours long, it still makes it feel like it's going on for months and months at a time. So I felt the pacing was awkward.
Yeah, there you go. That works.
But because they did things too fast and they tried to introduce too many plot lines, and then they didn't do the main plot line, which is how I thought the movie was supposed to end totally differently. But the characters I really liked how they gave some character to Varian's mom, which we find out in Chronicle 2. Lady Taria is now officially canon, so she's now officially in not just Warcraft movie lore, but she's actually, I don't think she's Lothar's sister in real lore, but I think that her Varian's mom is officially named Lady Taria. The orcs were the best part.
Yep.
Every time the orcs were on screen, I was worried for the first 2 years when we were waiting for like official previews, and then like Comic-Con got a little bit of an exclusive preview. People were saying that the orcs looked awful, and I was like, oh god, this is they can't have a movie about orcs and the orcs look bad. And then we saw the orcs at BlizzCon 2015, I guess, and I was blown away. They looked so realistic as to an orc, how an orc should look, how they moved, how they talked, their facial expressions, the size of them. Like I was worried they were going to make them just like slightly taller than humans, and no, like they're scary as hell. I really like to see it a little bit more rated R, but they were already limited with their audience, so I get why it was PG-13. It was still pretty brutal for a PG-13 movie. Like there was that one orc who crushed the dude's skull on the helmet, and you knew what happened. You didn't see anything, but you heard the soft crunch. I like the movie altogether. As Jeff said, the spell effects were really cool. I was really impressed with that. But I hated that it just didn't get the popularity it needed, and I'm hoping that Legendary gives it a second chance. I'm hoping that we see spoilers, the sacking of Stormwind, and I want to see Orgrim Doomhammer step up. I want to see the Alliance in its full form. I want to see Grom do a little bit more than stand there awkwardly with Gorehowl. I want to see him kill someone with Gorehowl. I want to see him cut someone in half with it. So I hope there's a second one. I hope Duncan Jones gets many more opportunities, because he nailed it. He nailed it out of the park, even though he was strangled half the time by restrictions and cutting by Legendary and stuff like that.
Yeah, it seemed like they were scared, and I don't know why. I feel like the movie would have been a lot better and more acclaimed and have a wider reach if the movie was longer and had a little bit more slow roll in the beginning, because the first 20 minutes or so is so jarring that you lose the potential of new audience, versus if it was like a fantasy epic and it was a longer film. I feel like that would have really resonated better with the audiences and critics to ease you into this world of Warcraft, in parentheses. So yeah, but it was great. I was there for the premiere. Like, I went to the red carpet, so
I'm jealous.
I was lucky enough to go to the red carpet for that, which now chat's gonna get mad at me because I still haven't finished editing and putting that video online from forever ago. I have so much footage. I know, right? See, well, too many eggs in my basket.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I recorded like a whole lot of stuff for the legendary staff in Cataclysm, the one from Firelands and all that. Mm-hmm. I was going to make it into like a machinima movie, because I got it back then. I was still raiding, and I was the lucky first one to get it in my guild. I was like, I'm gonna make a movie out of this, and it's still sitting on my hard drive.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it happens. But outside of that, I think we're at just about time, unless there's anything else you wanted to add or toss out there to anyone on YouTube or on Twitch or anything.
Nope. We're actually going to be starting up our Twitch channel soon.
There you go.
I'm talking in chat here, so we're kind of working that out. We want to figure out what we're going to stream, and if people would be interested in that. I don't know how many people would be interested in that. So, but yeah, we're hoping to get a Twitch channel off the ground here soon. And if people have any questions or just want to shoot the shit, we're always open on Twitter, Facebook. I respond on Facebook pretty fast. Twitter, pretty sure our DMs are open. So if you got a private question and you don't want to type it in 140 characters, ask us, shoot us an email. If you have any we have a lot of people asking technical questions about how'd you do this and how'd you do that. So Jeff is always quick to get a detailed answer for that. So don't be shy. Just send us a message. We're on Instagram. We post the slides to Instagram. We have a Patreon account if anyone cares. What else we got? I think that's it. Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, Instagram.
I'll have all the links, of course, in the video description box below if you need the clickables. But I think we're good with that. I'm gonna hit the button, the prophesized button of closing time.
Thank you for having us.
And there it is.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to episode number 130 of FinalBossTV, the Lost Codex Community Spotlight. Once around again for our guests, we had Jeff, who is the evil mastermind behind all of the visuals and sound and graphics and design for Lost Codex. You can go check out Lost Codex again on YouTube at The Lost Codex. And thank you, Jeff, for your time today. It was a pleasure to have you.
Not a problem. Thank you for having us.
And keep on keeping on with all those laser lights and squiggly lines.
I will.
And there's Jesse, the mastermind behind all of the writing, the directing, and the voice of the Lost Codex. Again, you can go check out their Twitter at The Lost Codex. They're very hard to find. Their branding is all over the place. It's terrible. But Jesse, thank you for being on the show again, sir. One more time for chat. Here's your face. Say something when your face is on the screen. Say something.
Welcome back to another episode of the Lost Codex, channel dedicated to the people, places, and histories of Azeroth's universe.
I don't think you say it in this face, but I'll take it.
No, I don't. Well, I might record me one day doing that. I don't know what I'm looking at. I think I'm looking at the pep in the background there.
Yeah, you're looking. That's totally fine. But thank you very much for tuning in this episode. Of course, everyone in chat, thank you very much for watching. Next week's episode, 131, we're going back to classes. If you have kept up on Twitter, then the Twitter poll ended with Havoc Demon Hunter, then Shadow Priest, and then right behind Holy Discipline Priest, and then Vengeance Demon Hunter. Those are the next 4 shows. So next Sunday will be a sit down with Havoc Demon Hunters. We'll talk about the new kill on the DPS block. I'll be sitting down with Kib, who does a lot of things and spreadsheets and whatnot in the Discord. And then Dreams will also be here. We'll talk about Havoc for about 2 hours, little less than that. Maybe we'll see how the show goes. After that, again, of course, it'll be Shadow Priest, Holy Discipline, Vengeance. There's a weekend off in there because of my birthday weekend. And then the month of April will be 4 episodes dedicated to the 4 walks of life for Druid. Sunday in a row will be Druid for Druid History Month. More details on the guests in the future. But until then, until this next show next week on the live streams, trust in your seal of artifact power, because that's what it's good for right now. And until then, everybody, bye! Bye! Wave bye at the nice people, Jeff, because they can't see Jesse. Wave bye.
I'm waving.
I don't believe it.